Hello there, camera people. I'm Chris. Welcome to Photography. As you can no doubt tell from the backdrop, we have snow accumulation, which means cold weather, bulky clothing, and a longer to-do list. First up today, I've got to get rid of the mice from my house. That's a long-term project, but I've been live trapping them since I discovered them through photographic means. Climbing up the side of my house and getting in through the attic. There's been many. Being the empathetic individual that I am, though, I can't just kill them. So from those traps, I transport them to a little shack in the middle of a clear cut, adjacent to the 401, where they can repopulate that area if they so wish. It's an agricultural area. There's tons of food around, thus the population of mice, so they'll survive. If they don't, they're feral cat food. Raccoons, fishers, mink, that sort of thing. The great cycle of life. Next up on the list, glass. I've been framing the work that I'm putting into two venues. As I've discussed in the last couple episodes, I'm what you call a perfect photographer, meaning only one thing. I take my work from inception to completion. I print it, I mount it, I frame it, and I sell it. Lucky number 13. These are the other 12. A week's worth of matting and framing. Putting my images where my mouth is, so to speak. Two venues, a dozen, going out. I will be judged. At least that's the overall goal. The method to the madness. Whether or not I'm successful, that's another story. Anyways, I broke a few pieces of glass, big glass, so I have to go and find them. One of the tricks, for me at least, to find good frame and glass is to go to Habitat for Humanity, places like that. They accumulate vast quantities of this material at about 10% of the cost. Word to the wise. Mats, frames, this is what I do. I try to upscale, upcycle everything to complement what I have discovered through this last 12 to 14 month journey of printing my work. Like many photographers, I started in a darkroom, moved through the various techniques, and ended up in the digital realm. Even Don McCullum likes digital. So did Ansel Adams, by the way, when he was introduced to it by Kodak. One of the things you're going to be forced to confront if you're going to start printing your work is whether or not it's worthy of printing. This does many things, most of which is refine your own eye. Help match the perspective in your head to the output. You'll discover that most aren't up to the task. They're not there. This is one thing you're going to discover in the absence of a backlit screen, in the instant gratification of content, likes, and so on, which, by the way, you should know by now. YouTube is the only social media outlet that I actually participate in. I do that with intention. I do it as a form of curation, and more on that later on in this video. When you look at the work that you're considering printing, you want to be able to sequence it into meta-narratives containing enough cues, visual cues, which can be social, cultural, or simply psychological, as in color contrast or juxtaposition. You want to have continuity. This is what you're really looking for when you present work in a group more than one. You want your style to be evident. This is something that every photographic visual artist is trying to attain, a style. In my opinion, you're not going to get there through social media. You're going to really need to sit down with three-dimensional tactile objects, get the whole haptic perception, the haptic experience of the photograph in a mat, in a frame, hanging on a wall.
It's an entirely different perspective. One of the things I've noticed over putting these dozen images together is that they are, in fact, continuous. I've noticed that I tend to focus on a dramatic juxtaposition, the polar contraries, as it were. Dark, light, good, bad, built, natural. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I intentionally often carry these boundary balls with me, the polar contraries. It helps to pass the time while you're waiting for the light, and it adds to the entire meditative quality of watching a scene and your subject. Today's photograph, which we will get to, sun sets at about 4:10 today. We don't have much time. Today's photograph is going to be another in the series. This is all about juxtaposition of perception, the individual in the cultural context, if that makes any sense. This, believe it or not, is a real jellyfish, a nidarian, trapped in acrylic. It was made by an artist in British Columbia, someone I used to deal work for. I dealt work for several BC artists. These jellyfish now live in the St. Lawrence River. Not this exact species, but jellyfish do. That's not their native environment. They got there via the shipping, which is in fact what altered this entire stretch of the Great Lakes, St. Lawrence lowland, which is, if you know, the St. Lawrence River is the largest river in Canada by volume, 10,000 cubic meters. That's more than the Mackenzie, which is a close second. I've been to and worked around most of the big rivers in Canada over my lifetime. Nearly crystal clear. So what I want to do, hopefully, the ice is formed enough that I can sit this into actual river ice as a continuation of both my ice series from last year and bringing it into this current series, which a couple of those photographs I'll show you. Let your mind's eye ponder that while we hit the road, and
it's okay. It's not your fault.
Digital printing, even with a good ImageGraph Pro, is an art unto itself. Number 3, to get it to this point, make sure everything was right tonally. The feature of the triptych. I haven't quite figured out what the title is. I think I know what it is, but I won't put it on the photograph with my signature until I finalize that. Below my mount, I'm going to have a large mat. Like I said, a triptych. This will be the feature, and then one on top, one on the bottom. Square format to match. Limited wall space in a gallery. They appreciate it when you consider these things.
already 2 fishermen out there, ice fishers, no shacks. Once I see the shacks is when I feel confident that I can walk out there without going through. I have gone through the ice before in the past, and it is not a pleasant experience, let me tell you. So one of the things that's difficult when you're getting into the whole realm of display with intent to sell, obviously, is your artist statement or your description of the photographs. Some do it, some don't. It's entirely up to you. Now for me, because there is a context of all of these objects and the locales, I like to include a little something on a tag that I put on the back. And and that way they can do whatever they want with it, right? But not too much beside the photograph other than your name, the size, and the price. Maybe the paper. I use Hanamule paper, Canson paper, use some Canon paper. The Hanamule is super nice, especially for instance, something like a pet spout, where your colors, your separation in your colors are going to be much more like a watercolor. And on that sort of paper, wow, man, does it shine. People really can't tell if it's a photograph or not. That's something unto itself, right? You get people there staring, just trying to figure out what it is. Is it a painting? Is it a photograph? Is it a painting? Is it a photorealistic painting? Or is it a photo that looks like a painting? The most difficult part about being the framer and the mounter is having to continue the theme and the mood of the photograph through that process. It's actually a lot harder than you might think. It has to be the right frame, the right mat, the right size, white space, etc. Do you leave a border? Do you not leave a border? Do you number it on the front? Do you title it on the front? You always sign on the front. But those other two aspects, I don't like them on the photograph front itself. I like those on the back. Just the name on the front, that's it. Very tiny, very discreet. Pencil or very fine line black ink. If I have to write on the front, I write on the mat the names of the photographs. All right, I'm here. I've got the scene. Ice, drifting snow, cloud access, only about 30 meters from said ice. Has what I want. There are some clouds, but the sun looks like it's going to be out in the open for a bit now. I don't want it directly out. That's going to ruin everything. So I'll have to wait for just a bit. And ideally, no one's going to come from that way, but they could come for park access here. I don't know. Fingers crossed we don't have to move because there's nowhere except a single track to move. This car is not good in the snow. But it gives me the opportunity to talk about what I'm shooting, these sacred, significant objects, landscapes with Minolta 50mm f2 SMC. It's a great lens, very sharp. On the tele end with an APS-C 75mm. So what that should tell you is that I want a somewhat compressed look, almost within traditional landscape range, but not quite. And that is intentional. What I'm trying to get is the perception of incompleteness in a person's perception of the environment. That's why I'm placing these objects in these environments. Is that a truck coming? Oh no, it is. Okay. Take two in a moment. Okay, so I found my location. As you can see here on the ice, white ice at this point. It's a little unsafe, so I'm not going to go out really where I would like to be, out in the middle. But I'm getting what I came here to get. The light coming through the object d'art and the clouds reflected inside of it with that cnidarian, the jellyfish, climbing above the clouds. So of course what I'm doing here is compressing it with my 75. You're coming to me on a Sigma 16, which is a 24 on APS-C. And I'll be snapping some of this same composition with that 24 after I'm done with this one. But this is just to show you kind of what I'm going to do. Now, with all of these, I get right down on the ground, and I'm using this 75 because when I get close to the object, this gives you what is really close to what your foveal perspective is, and that's the center part of your vision. So,
I come in this way low so I don't leave any imprints or anything like that. I think I just kicked my tripod. And like I said before, I only have 5 minutes max on that battery, that little FW50 Sony battery, for heaven's sakes. This is just to give you an idea of what I'm doing. So I'm shooting 5.6 on these. I think I'm going to go down to an 8. And that gets me right in the zone. These are ultimately going to be black and white. And just to be sure, I was shooting all previous in 3x2s, but I'm going to run to 16.9 because I'm going to print these on 13x19, I think. Hat's a drag. Of course, this is all manual focus, so I'm using peaking. And if I don't sense that I'm getting the peaking I want, I can't feel my fingers anymore. My sun is just out of my frame, so I'm getting my light. I'm shooting high shutter speed here. And I am rubbernecking to make sure I get it because, oh yeah, the sun and the clouds are inside the orb exactly as I envisioned it. I've been looking at this orb for years. I knew what its potential was. Finally getting around to using it. Now I'm gonna super magnify some focus here just to, oh, if I can feel my fingers. Oh yeah, I'm right in the zone. I'm gonna back up a bit. I'm shooting horizontal and vertical for these. Taking advantage of this opportunity as best I can. Now, if you're going in and out of comments, because I'm laying on my microphone and I'm very sorry for that. But, c'est la vie. Oh, I'm getting all goosebumpy with the clouds in the background here. Okay, I think my body temperature is down about 4 degrees. So, we're gonna pack up. Did I mention it's negative 19? The view from here. Can't feel my fingers anymore.